We already been infiltrated. So they designed to take you right back to the system. So the good question just came up. What about the American rights of the indigenous people? That's the I fucked you good note on the prostitute's dresser when the John is leaving.
Damn.
That's the I told you that all your shit belonged to me, but now I'm telling you I was just lying and I fucked you good. That's all it's saying. They just telling us what we already know, but they had to tell it to us because they're not gonna believe it coming from one of us.
And that's the problem. Don't nobody believe nothing we say. If the Caucasian ain't said it, then it's not true. That's what's the problem.
And this is the reason why that's exists. Because the dirty Moors, blackamoors and tawny Moors, use pale faces to block institutions to keep us from discovering what they doing.
Exactly. You got
and this is what was keeping us from developing to 5/5 realization status, is because they hijacked the lodges. They came in hostile, according to Noble Drew Ali, 32-degree Scottish Rite Red Lodge. That's the motherland. They infiltrated the motherland first. That means they sent some stinking riding coochie bitches up into the families' harems and fucked up the families. She came in acting like she believed in the sisterhood, and then she found her head sister and busted her in the head. And then as soon as the chief said something about it, she poisoned it with hemlock.
So now I'm hearing, like I said, I'm around everywhere, but people don't see me. I'm just there. Now we got this thing. Okay, we're on the track of who we are if they do the genealogy, but then you have people saying that we actually mix with some Europeans is where a lot of our last names coming from, and they are the European royalty bloodline. Is reason, I guess, to say that's why royalty is in America. But if you look over in Europe, ain't shit there. So where did they get their royalty from?
And their name's not Smith and Jones. Ours is.
Exactly.
Ours was the name. We had the names. They took the names.
They're giving people the, what you call it? Like when you trace your name back to a what's that emblem? You have the
family crest.
Yeah, the family crest. Now,
okay, so look, these names conceal tribal identities. Jones is, remember, the J 500 years old. We've been here longer than that. Jones is Ionis. Ionis means fish. So the Jones clans was the clans who used to fish the rivers and the lakes on the land.
That's what's up.
Yep.
The Johnsons, the Johnsons, remember there was no J. It's Yanan. Yanan is the light bringers. So the children of the ones who was the light bringers, which was priests in the community, was called Johnsons. So it's just so many things that they tricked us with, that unveiling all of the tricks in one day will probably make a motherfucker drop dead at the end.
So what about, one of my surnames is Walker.
Right. The Walkers is the Skywalkers. That's Big Tukey clan. The Skywalkers used to live in villages and treetops, so they burnt all the trees down. They was fearless. They was the ones, when you watch the Great Wall, you see the women in the blue fighting those dragon bitches. Those were Skywalkers.
Oh, okay.
Right. When you pull up treetop villages, you still got different tribes around the world that still got treetop villages. We had them. You used to be able to leave New Orleans in the treetops and don't even come down from the tree until you got to Florida.
And you were absolutely right, because the first thing they did on Claiborne Avenue was cut down all the trees.
That goes back to the story that these clowns is teaching, the Africa story that I was listening to. That niggas was Homo sapiens that lived up in the trees. Then one day, one of the Homo sapiens came down out the tree and started living on the land.
Look, we lived on the land. We got tribes that dive under the water. That's where your mermaid myth came from.
Yes.
If you pull them up, it's a tribe in South Africa that's known for diving in the ocean. That's a mermaid clan. right? And they take the word mer and say that mean more too. I would be shaking my goddamn head, right? But everything with an M and an R in it is under the dogma. Remember, it's the difference between the morals and the dogma. Under the dogma, anything with an M and an R in it is a more. If it's in the history books to prove they lie, that we've been called Moors, you can't find nowhere over here we was Moors before 1492.
I cannot find nothing. I tell you,
And anybody that want to produce it, go ahead, produce it, because you're gonna be to make that shit up.
Now, I heard people in the islands was also.
Go ahead, sweetie. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Thank you. There's this meme that keeps going around that saying that the word Moorish was a substitute for the word Indian around 1600s.
That's correct. Now remember, when Columbus came, they said they was going to India, right? This shit don't make no sense, but I'm gonna tell the story how they tell it. So he was finna find an alternative trade route to India by going east. Ain't that the story they tell us in school? All right, and once he got here, he mistaken the people on the land with the people from India. That's what they told us, ain't it? And at that time, the people of India was primarily something called a Dravidian. So if you pull up a picture of a Dravidian, then you'll see who he thought he was bumping into. But neither here nor there. The problem with that storyline that they was telling us in school is India was Hindustan into the 1900s. So where in the fuck does he think he going? Right? So when they was coming over here, they knew where they was going because his navigator, Pietro del Negro, was a blackamoor, and he was running the show. The navigator ran the ship, not the captain. Because the captain can't get nowhere if the navigator don't tell him where to go. So the navigator is a blackamoor, Etruscan, named Pietro del Negro. This is all in the history books. You can look this shit up. It's easy to find since I don't never have no receipts for the shit I be saying. But this shit is too easy to find for me to be making it up. So when you find out in the logs that he ran into the most loving, kind, and peaceful people we ever seen in his life, they'll make a perfect motherfucker to a goddamn motherfucking sack. So Christopher Colombo is the investigator who's traveling with the navigator. Now remember, he went to Isabella and Ferdinand to get finances for the trip, right? Secret relation between blacks and Jews say it wasn't the Jews, Jewels, of Ferdinand and Isabella that paid for Columbus's trip. It was her Jews. If you pull up the Jewish brooch, the blackamoor Jewish brooch, they all wear them in allegiance to the royal family that they aligned with. They wear the brooch. It's a nigger face, a blackamoor, big lip, soup cooler, nappy head motherfucker. That's a piece of jewelry in Europe. So when you listen to Dr. John Henry Clark, he said they didn't call them Jews because they was from Judah. They called them Jews because of the jewelry. These motherfuckers' faces was on the jewelry. And so he gets backed up by Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben say us the black Jews, and he goes into the historical record of the people that's called Etruscans and the difference in the other peoples. It's right in the book. You know, most people are not going to read it, but Dr. Ben put it out there for a reason, and there's some good information in there. My Pan-African studies didn't fail to teach me that I'm from over here. I'm not from no goddamn Africa. I didn't come on no slave ship. I was already here. I've been so long. I've been here so long. Here wasn't even here when I got here.
That part.
And so since we've been here so long, I'm gonna remember who the fuck I am, because that's my job. Because mama said, if you don't know who the fuck you is, you ain't gonna never know who nobody is. What the fuck she mean by that? And then I read in the philosophers, they say in the pyramids it's written, man, know thyself. But I don't mean I ain't gotta know another motherfucker. I just know who I am.
And we got, that's right. That's what's most important, as long as you know who you are.
And the rest of it gonna tell itself, because those who not from the same heart link as me and my families, they will not stand up to the scrutiny. They're gonna kick, scream. Then this is the craziest part. No matter how much you bust their ass in the head with the facts, they're gonna send the lowest level of student, the least qualified to challenge what you're saying, to challenge you. And they're gonna have a whole fucking tantrum. Like they really saying something, but the whole time them motherfuckers ain't saying shit. We them feather-wearing motherfuckers that run around the goddamn campfire on that fire water talking about, ooh, them us.
Now, with that being said, what's the rhetoric behind the $5 Indian? Is those the sheep that, like, let's say, for instance, Kyle had it in Pocahontas, right? There's a lot of, like,
yeah, she was Pocahontas was a human traffic rape victim. That's what she was. She was being held hostage by a captor. She was the queen of the land that they had subjugated, and the rest of the queens knew who she was, and she gave them a heads up all the way across the land on the journey. See, they don't tell y'all that because they don't want you to know that we ain't never laid down to these motherfuckers. We just readjusted to re-strategize. And they told me, Rod, you gonna be the one figure this shit out. And I'm like, not me. I'm not the smartest motherfucker in the goddamn drawer. She said, you don't gotta be the sharpest knife in the drawer. You just gotta be sharp enough to cut something. So I've just been running around cutting the fuck out they shit everywhere I see it. This a lie, but cut this motherfucker too with the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And the truth cuts more than anything else.
Yeah, worst thing you can tell a motherfucker is the truth. Look, you can lie on the nigga and he'll laugh at you. You tell the truth on him, he'll shoot you in your face.
Yep.
That's right.
That's a fact. And these Negroes so lost out here, they'll argue with you, but don't know nothing about their damn bloodline. They'll argue with you about being out of Africa. They'll argue with you about Egypt. Is that, you know, and the sad part about it, if they said they kidnapped you from the west coast of Africa, what do Egypt got any damn thing to do with west coast of Africa? There's two different countries, and not only that, that's different cultures.
Listen,
these niggas want to be Egyptians.
Egypt is as far from Ghana as New York is from Hawaii. Facts. If not further. But, you know, we over here don't realize that in the motherland, they got warring tribes. You got tribes of invaders and tribes that's been there since the beginning. The ones that have been there since the beginning, they never stopped fighting the motherfucker. That's why you had Ethiopians starving. The Arabs have been taking Sudanese and Somalians and Southern Egyptians and Algerians for slaves for hundreds of years. This shit ain't none of this shit new. How do we find out or translate from the real alphabets, and how are the same names in Europe and America? How do we know if history is based on this soil or across the pond when the names being same? The whole purpose of, leave that up for a minute. The whole purpose of using the same names is to confuse people. You got to remember that part.
Yep.
That's Anunnaki war strategy. When you go to Genesis, when you look at Cain's children, they named after Seth's children, or vice versa, right? It's difficult to learn how to translate it because you have to come into a certain knowledge of self in order to be able to see all of their tactics. When you learn how to read, when you learn how to read your own thoughts, then the spirit come in. When the lie come up, nature tells you with an alert system, but most of us don't know our alert system. Some of us get a gut feeling. Some of us get goosebumps. Some of us get a headache. Some of us, our eyes jump, our ears ring. But we always, when we running down the wrong path, we get these intuitive reactions that the body is responding to nature telling you them niggas lying to you. Don't believe that shit. Don't trust that motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
So we stop teaching our children to listen to the inner voice because our school systems that we've been attending teaches them that the inner voice is the devil.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't never listen to the inner God because they've been told that the inner God is the devil. Devil mean enemy. The devil is the motherfucker telling you that shit. He said, okay, so when you read, this was a good one. Georgetown University has a book called History of the World by Georgetown University. Oxford also have a book called Oxford University History of the World, and they some huge books. And when you read them, they don't read the same. The world history that Europe give is not the world history we get in America. The European world history give us more details. It shall tell us the fake names and the real names of a lot of the players, right? But we don't know that because we over here studying this from Americans' perspective. The American perspective is a colonizer's attempt to keep the colonized under control by teaching them a specific doctrine in education. So they teaching you in a Skinner box, using the Pavlovian response system, how to be a servant and usable on a workforce to keep their system afloat. Our people never mind working, but we're not going to work for the enemy, not knowingly. And so they can't never let us know that the enemy is who we working for, because when we realize it, we're going to do the same thing they wrote about in the history books. They say the Native American doesn't make a good slave. The natives we found when we tried to force them to the field labor will sit in one place and refuse to move even until he starved to death. So they already know that we going to follow something that the Chinese call the Wu Wei. The Wu Wei is one I got from RZA, by the way, from the Wu-Tang Clan. But the Wu Wei is to do nothing in order to accomplish something. That means sit on your ass in order to win. That's all they take. Divorce yourself from the entire system, go home and sit down and watch this bitch burn.
That's exactly right.
Take your motherfucking ball and go home. This your ball. The game over when you take your ball and go home because you're the only one with a ball on the field.
That's right. We're the quarterbacks around here. That's right. They need our energy. I've been saying that.
So when I refer people to the Indigenous Rights Act of the United Nations and the Indigenous Rights Act of the United States, the reason why I do that is because before these motherfuckers left, they had to tell you that all of the rights they've been stealing from you, they had to count them out, the ones they stole, and tell you we didn't even have the jurisdiction to take that from you. It was good fucking you while we had you. But now since you got into the gig that I'm really got little dick energy and I'm really short on the motherfucking delivery, I can go on and leave now, and this is your note saying goodbye. That's all it is. They fucked us good, told us how they fucked us, and left us a note on the dresser on their way out.
Then we just need to get their asses up out of here, though. That's the whole main part, because as long as
that ain't even the hard part, though. Getting them out of here ain't even the hard part. Because most of the dirty players have been rounded up at the highest levels. The little minions that's left, Angel Bay and them gonna clean them dirty Moors up so fast y'all ain't gonna even know it was ever a dirty Moor in existence. I'm not worried about that. The Almighty Keystone is not gonna play with them.
The Caucasians are the Moors.
No.
No.
Them motherfuckers look like us, but they not us.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what we already said that head honcho who's running the bullshit look like us. But we talking about these old dusty motherfuckers that's running around here thinking they slick, they selling off. Well, they really ain't selling the land, they're selling what's on the land. Cause see, they got the Chinese coming up in here. The Chinese just
all that smoke and mirrors, sweetie.
That
Okay.
sure is.
See,
Yeah,
so they
black
want you to think that the problem is bigger than Earth itself, so you won't even attempt to fix it. All of them pale people in positions of power is controlled by one of these dirty blackamoors.
Mm-hmm.
What they call more Zionist Jews. Them the motherfuckers been running the show ever since they been here.
Frida said, what about these Siberian chinos? These Siberian Huskies.
You talking about what's she talking about? The
$5.
Yeah.
look. Okay, so the $5 Indians is in groups.
Mm-hmm.
You got some of them that turned on the people that made them $5 Indians. They got exposed to us, and they love for us. They was like, fuck them people that brought us over here. We with you.